Okay, so this is going to be a light leg workout. Now, I took and did 15 minutes on the exercise bike to get my legs warmed up. I did not record that because I figured, you know, these are probably pretty boring to watch anyway, so just watching me sit on a bike and pedal for 15 minutes would be extra boring. But I don't know, maybe you'd be into that. I don't know, but yeah, I just didn't think it was necessary. So on this one, I am doing a warm up. I'm working both the inner and outer thigh. Um, Normally, I would add weight in between each set, like I normally do, but to do that, I need to uncuff um, the strap on my ankle strap, and that creates a lot of extra time. So I'm just supersetting between doing the outer thigh and the inner thigh. Um, the outer thigh I'm doing 8 reps, and the inner thigh I am doing 20 reps because my inner thigh is a lot stronger than my outer thigh. But normally I would go up 5 pounds between each one, so 2.5 on each side. Um, but yeah, for the sake of time, I'm just doing supersetting with just the yoke. Um, and as you can see in the corner, I already have the weight on the bar for when I start doing squats. So basically, this workout is going to be um, I'm going to do the outer thigh, the inner thigh, and then I'm going to do squats, then double leg curls, double leg extensions, and that just means I use both legs at the same time. And then I'm going to wrap up with single leg curls. So just giving you a heads up on what I'm going to be doing. And when I started, I realized I didn't have my gloves on, but I really don't need them for this exercise. But when I start squats, I put my gloves on. And I'm doing one leg at a time. Then I'm going to switch over and do the other leg. Like I said, this is all just to save time. Because when I looked at the recording without the exercise bike, it came in at like 41 minutes. So it was really 55 minutes with the exercise bike. And if I would have been adding, subtracting weights, unclipping the ankle strap each time, you're probably looking at well over an hour. And I'm looking for ways to kind of like cut these down in time, just to make them easier to edit. Now, I will say, I honestly don't like these. I don't like these at all. I don't mind going, like when I go to the gym, they have machines there to work the outer inner thigh. I like those because they're really easy to use. But doing it this way, I just don't like. It's very tedious. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. And this is a lot easier than, and a lot cheaper than going out and buying, 2 dedicated machines. And that's another thing. When you're doing a home gym, multi-purpose machines are a budget saver and a um, space saver. Okay. And I'm switching over to the other leg. I'm also filming this myself, so I have my phone on a tripod. Actually, it's my old music stand, you know, for putting sheet music on. So I'm not actually having somebody film it, so that's why the shots are static and some of the exercises actually off frame because the camera's just in a single static position. Now, for the longest time, whenever I worked out at home, for legs, I only did squats, leg extensions, and leg curls. Um, so I am trying to expand my leg routine, and I'm not sure if I did it on here or TikTok, but I explained that I don't train my calves simply because my calves are already huge. So, you know, my calves are almost the same size as, you know, my thigh, so I don't really feel the need to purposely work those. Um, Maybe in another video I'll do like standing calf rises to show you, just in case you want to work out your calves. But a as part of my regular routine, I don't um, work them. Like I said, I view this here as more of a warm-up exercise. Um, for every other body part, I don't really do any specific warm-up for. But for my legs, I do like to get them really warmed up before going into the main exercises. That's why I like doing 15 minutes on the bike, just to get the blood flowing and the fibers loosened up. And it actually does really help with recovery. I you know it does, like with legs. I used not so much the day after, but the day after the day after. My legs really used to hurt, and you know, sometimes I could barely walk. But just adding the warm up, it does help. It does help. They're still sore, but they're not as sore. Okay, they're done and over with. And now I'm going to be getting ready to do squats. That's my wife in the background, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Tara's gonna edit this, so she can edit that part out.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Normally I go in the basement to do this, but I just didn't feel like going in the basement today. Oh, I'm just recording audio.
I'm gonna have to edit this out. I would have got extra views.
uh,
Possibly banned. I'd have to edit that. Look at the saggy tits on that one. Oh.
You know, I might just leave this in because.
Family life.
Yeah.
I'm not a psycho.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
Or talking to myself.
Mhm.
I thought you were talking to Josh about school.
Mhm. Okay, so I'm getting ready to do squats. I'm doing a warm-up set of 120 pounds for 20 reps. I do have a pad on the bar. When I was in my teens and early 20s, I was one of those people who never used a pad. I was just straight bar. I was a typical gym jerk who would laugh at the idea of using a pad while squatting. But then when I got back into it about 5, 6 years ago, it was really uncomfortable on my traps. Especially whenever I started doing squatting heavier weight. So I took and got a. So I started using the pad, and it actually really helped. It definitely takes a lot of the strain off the traps. So I personally like them and use them. That, and I'm really too old to care about looking all tough and butch. Also, if you notice, I don't do what's called ass to grass, where I don't go all the way down. There's a couple reasons for that. One, I'm just physically unable to. Actually, that's the main. I'm physically unable to for two reasons. One, I have crap balance. Like even doing body weight squats, if I go down below a certain point, I lose my balance and start to tip over. So, and the second reason is being obese. I have the equivalent of a volleyball strapped around my gut, and that also hinders me from going all the way down. And that's another thing that obese people face, that because you do have this large layer of fat, it really does interfere with a lot of flexibility and a lot of what you can do. So, yeah, I'm not going all the way down like a lot of bodybuilders do, but I'm still doing something. And in another video, I'll actually show you a variation on squatting called the box squat. That's what I did before I actually had purposely dedicated squat racks. And it's basically you just raise the uprights on your bench all the way up. You sit down on the bench. You rack the bar, and then you stand up and sit down on the bench. And that's a perfectly acceptable variation of the squat if you don't have squat racks. And as I go up, I'm adding 20 pounds each time. So I went from 120 to 140. I'll go 160 and finally end up at 180. And I'll do that for 10 times before going back to 120 for my cool down set. And like I said, this year's the light week. I like alternating between light weeks and heavy weeks because it hits the muscles in a different way. Like it activates different muscle fibers. At least that was the reading back in the 90s. But that was 30 years ago, so it might have changed since then. And as you can see, I'm only using the pad, gloves, and the belt. I'm not using knee straps. Although I have considered it. But right now, I don't have like a lot of knee pain, so I don't feel the need to, but in the future, I might invest in that. Now, one thing, I don't tie my hair back whenever I work out. Mostly because I just don't like the way it feels. For instance, when I'm doing squats and the bar has my ponytail pinched, or when I'm doing behind the neck press and the bar hits my ponytail. Now, for things like arms, chest, I don't. Whenever I'm laying on the bench, I don't like the way the ponytail feels. But for arms and back, I sometimes will do it. But normally I just don't tie my hair back. So if you have long hair, you might want to tie it back because it does get in the way. But yeah, I just don't really like the way it feels. So. Now, one final word about squatting. Whenever I started, the recommendation was to always look up and not look in front of you. And that's just what I continue to do. Although the one gym I did belong to, it had a mirror in front of the squat rack. So I would look just to kind of like keep an eye on my form, but I don't have a mirror in my basement, so I just look up. And that's the thing, if you are working out by yourself and you don't have anybody to spot you or hold the bar, and you're loading or unloading heavy plates, this is the best way to do it. Just move it all the way over to one end and remove each plate at a time. But remember to always remove the plate off the end that's sticking out first. And be careful too. I wasn't pulling that plate off evenly. I was kind of pulling it down while pulling it off, and that you saw the bar tip. Okay, now I'm doing leg curls. Now, I'll freely admit my glutes aren't and hamstrings aren't that strong. So I'm starting off with just a 25-pound plate. But, it is what it is. I'm lifting to get stronger, but yeah, as I said in the last video, there's no ego lifting in this. Now, if you notice that where the pads are, they're not kind of like optimal. It should be like at my ankles. But that is one of the drawbacks to having equipment that's multi-purpose. Yes, it saves on time. Not time. Well, time. It saves on space, and it saves on budget, because you can do multiple things on, using one piece of equipment. But it means you're never doing any exercise to full efficiency. And it's especially true here, because I need to keep my knees on the pads for support, which means my legs stick past where they should be for optimal, for optimal muscle contraction. And this is another case where my strength really diminishes greatly between sets. And I'm increasing the weight by 10 pounds each time. So I started off with 25 pounds. That last set was 35, then it'll be 45, then 55, then back down to 25. And I'm still keeping at the 5 sets. A warm-up, 3 working sets, and a cool-down. And as I've said many times, when you're exercising and you're obese, morbidly obese, you do have really different issues than somebody who's thin and they're looking to add muscle or to bulk up. Because as you can see, because of my size, I am actually more elevated off the bench in relationship to the attachment. And that was one of my big motivators in just doing this, because I would look at other people's videos on YouTube, and they're all thin people looking to get big. And if there was one of a bigger person getting small, it was usually a montage of them going down through the years, which is fine. But I love to see anybody's glow up. But I just wanted to show some of the just more nuts and bolts of things, and what morbidly obese people like myself have to deal with, and some of our issues. Now, if you looked in the last set before this, I actually stopped, held the weight, and then slowly let it down. That's a way to like get a little bit extra out of your lift, especially if you don't get it all, aren't able to do a full range of motion, can only do a partial. You stop, you hold it in the static position for as long as you can, and then you slowly let it down, and that keeps the muscle under stress and helps build strength and size. So, a little extra tip. Okay, now I'm doing leg extensions. I'm starting off with 70 pounds. And it's basically just what it looks like. Taking and hinging my knees up. No, not, yeah. Using my knees to lift the weight up. I probably should raise it up. So I get a little bit more of a stretch. But once again, I just try to save time as best I can, because after this I'm going to single leg leg curls, and for that I would need it back down again. But for optimization of the movement, I should actually raise the attachment up. And once again, I am increasing the weight by 10 pounds each time. So I start off with 70, then I'll do 80 pounds, 90 pounds, 100, then go back down to 70 for my cool down. Now when I do single leg curls, I'll start off with 12.5 pounds, then I'll only increase by 5 because I'm doing one leg at a time. So it'll be 12.5, 17.5, 22.5, 27.5. Then back down to 12.5 again. Okay, so that was that. The video stopped, so I figured this is when it's reached this time limit. So anyway, like I said, single leg curls. And yeah, so that's my light week leg workout. And yeah. So like I said, I hope this helps people. As always, consult your doctor before starting any diet or exercise plan. Also, I noticed that to make the videos fit, my daughter speeds everything up at the end, so I asked her if she does that, just to put yakety sax underneath it. So, anyway, I hope you have a good day, and I will see you again. Bye.